Hi, folks, it's Mark Merrill with Firm. A reality check on this program, folks. Graham Platner. Is he the real deal or not quite ready for primetime politics? Now, this is from the Robinson Report, the Maine Wire here. As you see, Mr. Robinson on there, he's the editor-in-chief of the Maine Wire. He came out with an article titled, Democrat Darling Graham Platner has a Nazi problem. Well, we'll see. We're not going to pass judgment on Mr. Platner as of yet. We're still in the month of March, folks. But as Mr. Robinson wrote in the beginning of his article here, which was posted just recently on March 2nd, when Graham Platner first burst onto the political scene here in Maine, I'll admit, says Steve Robinson, I was taken aback. Here was a non-effeminate left-wing man who did not begin life as a woman and appeared to be, well, quite manly, if you credit his own boasts about his Barracuda-like manner. Could it be that Democrats had finally unearthed a normal working-class man who could credibly champion economic progressivism as a tribute to the working class? Was there, at last, rising from the craggy shores of the bold coast, a white, straight man capable of saving the Democratic Party from its own worst impulses? Well, if so, Republican Susan Collins might have had reason to worry. Collins is, after all, indelibly linked to the status quo by virtue of her long career in office. So a gruff, gritty guy like Mr. Platner comes on the scene with calluses in his hands and wants to flip over the table on behalf of working people, just might eke out a win against Collins's world. Before we go any further there, folks, we have here Mr. Platner stating his views at an early rally on January 29th of 2026 in Bangor in front of Susan Collins' Republican office. Just as a refresher, folks.
This is an administration that continually breaks the law, does not respect the law. We are 40 days past when the law said the Epstein files were supposed to be released. Here we find ourselves. So I do not believe what Kristi Noem says. But more importantly, it is not enough to just bring operations down in tempo. ICE needs to be out of Maine. Senator Collins is going to try to use this moment to trick us, to say that she somehow used her power to impose upon ICE. We all know it's nonsense. What she's actually doing is trying to justify to us why she is about to try to give them $9 billion more in funding. An agency that we have witnessed in this state in just the last week kidnap employees of county sheriff's departments, abduct fathers, bringing food to their newborn children, taking Maine residents who are here legally with no criminal record. This is illegal and unconstitutional behavior, and an agency that is capable of that deserves not one single penny. We also have to remember the reason she's doing this is because she and the Republican Party have refused to strip DHS funding out of the larger funding bill. They could have put it separate. Therefore, the argument over it would not drive us towards a government shutdown. If we go into a government shutdown, it's not because Democrats got us there. It's because Republicans would rather close the government cannot give more money to an agency that in the past few weeks has murdered American citizens in cold blood. One of those victims was Alex Preddy, killed last Saturday, executed in the street by masked federal agents, and then the administration had the gall to say that the reason he needed to die was because he was carrying a legal firearm. As someone who still occasionally carries a legal firearm, because I use my constitutional rights as an American and a Mainer, it is beyond disgusting to watch this administration use that as justification for the murder of an American hero. What is important to remember is once we have won this, once we get ICE out of Maine, once we defund and dismantle that agency, do not let people in power tell you that they gave it to you. It was because of you that that's going to happen. It is because of the organizers and the activists and the organizations and the communities that have built the power to protect our communities. When you look even here in the state of Maine over the past few weeks, who's delivering food to people sheltering in place?
We are!
Who is following around ICE agents?
We are!
Who is building the power on the ground to save ourselves?
We are!
No one is coming to save us. But we are going to learn in this moment that the skills and the organization necessary to save our communities today is going to be the exact same kind of power we're going to need to fight for the better world that we all believe in. And so when we have won, do not let those who did nothing tell you that it wasn't you that did it. It will be the boots on your feet and the whistle around your neck. That is what is going to get us through this, and that is what is going to build the power for us to take back the politics of this country for the working people of the
That's Mr. Platner, ladies and gentlemen. Now, continuing on with the Robinson Report article of March 2nd, back to just about present day. Just to give you a recap of what Mr. Robinson said before that replay of the audio of Mr. Platner in Bangor on that January 29th day. Is Mr. Platner a white, straight man capable of saving the Democratic Party from its own worst impulses? If so, Ms. Collins might have reason to worry. She is, after all, indelibly linked to the status quo, as we said, by virtue of her long career, but a gruff, gritty guy with calluses on his hands like Mr. Platner, who wants to flip over the table on behalf of working people, just might eke out a win against Collins' world. But then came the Totenkopf and the Reddit posts, the fake oyster man shtick, the lies, the other lies, and then the lies upon lies, all of which point toward an implosion that may or may not occur before Maine Democrats toss Platner into the general election like a live hand grenade. Now, you have to understand, folks, this is all coming from Steve Robinson and his staff at the Maine Wire. We will read on in just a moment. I just want you to know who we're dealing with here. If you're joining us late, this is Firm and our reality check on Graham Platner. Is he the real deal or not quite ready for primetime politics? there's what Mr. Platner is hoping for, that he will be the one from the Democratic Party facing off against Ms. Collins after the June primaries, but we'll see. Lots of time's got to pass before that happens. In the overall meantime, Mr. Platner's candidacy was a mirage from the outset. The tell was how frequently his handlers and admirers invoked the term oysterman, a contrived word that seems to exist only in gushing profiles in GQ or the New Yorker. The reality is, according to Mr. Robinson, Platner was an amateur actor whose brief appearance in an aquaculture promotional video caught the attention of political consultants. How about that one, folks? I believe Steve Robinson before I believe anybody else, especially in the media, the legacy media. And some well-placed Democratic sources told him as much. Told Mr. Robinson that much about Mr. Platner. The consultants approached Platner with a proposition. Let us harness the powers of digital media, the same that elevated Mayor Mamdani in New York. Make you a US Senator. Once you understand that Platner is an actor playing a role, everything else starts to make sense, doesn't it? Crap. Now, folks, as we do continue to move on here, does this make more sense as to exactly what kind of a person he represents and what kind of a party he represents, folks? The Democratic Socialists of America? Sounds more like it, doesn't it? Problem with plucking someone from obscurity and transforming him into a Senate candidate, says Mr. Robinson in his report and article, is that you inherit the baggage. It's one hell of a baggage load. In Platner's case, that includes roughly 10,000 Reddit posts, as was just mentioned, smearing Mainers as racist retards, advocating armed violence against Trump supporters and declaring that all cops are bastards. Just reading what he wrote, folks. It's free speech. You don't like it? You have a reply. Keep it clean. Right there. Fairnessinreportingmedia at gmail.com. Fairnessinreportingmedia at gmail.com. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We can take it. Yours truly has had close to 30 years of broadcast experience. Radio, TV, Maine, New Hampshire, and Boston, Massachusetts. Now, the promotion of Mr. Ratner all goes on to say that photographic evidence says that Platner taught the Socialist Rifle Association chapter in Maine how to take prone sniper shots at human-shaped targets. It includes a litany of women from the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook groups who suspect they might have swiped right on new progressive darlings like him. Gee whiz. Desperate to get somebody into Congress that's going to be another radical like, let's say the younger version of Bernie Sanders. Careful what you wish for, folks. Especially if you're between the ages of 25 and 35. We'll up the demographic a little bit. Moving on. Platner is reportedly curb-stomping Democratic Governor Janet Mills by 30 to 40% margins by early polling and seems to be holding still. As a matter of fact, it might even be a wider margin now that Janet Mills is having to answer, but she probably won't, to the ongoing and increasing millions and possibly into billions of dollars of MaineCare fraud. But troubling signs suggest that the Oyster Man may be flotsam by November. Ironically, the same left-wing activists who spent the year standing on Maine bridges, waving Palestinian, Ukrainian, and even Canadian flags and branding everyone else a Nazi, may be the reason their party sends a candidate with a very real Nazi problem into battle against Collins. To be clear, writes Mr. Robinson, he does not believe Platner is a Nazi. Let's clear that up. Steve Robinson does not believe Platner is a Nazi. Robinson says he strikes me, meaning him and the Maine Wire, as a trust fund kid who takes whatever fascinates him into an extreme. It's like a hairdo and a poser. And for the next 10 months, we'll watch him cosplay gritty working man. But even if Platner himself is not a Nazi or neo-Nazi, he undeniably has a problem with an image. The Totenkopf tattoo is what we were referring to earlier, folks. Totenkopf tattoo ranks just behind the swastika as one of the most infamous Nazi symbols, from Inglourious Bastards to Schindler's List in those movies, to the caricatures in Indiana Jones and even Monty Python. It's been synonymous with some of the most vile officers of the Third Reich. Platner says he got the skull tattooed during a drunken night in Croatia in 2007. When he said he and some buddies opted for Scary Ink. So there. He's answered it. He had witnesses. Explains 48 to 72 hours, folks, of possessing the tattoo, but maybe a year or two if you count the time it takes to find a laser removal joint in the Bangor area. What about the next 18 years? Platner claims that for nearly 2 decades he had no idea that the Nazi skull on his chest represented. This from a man in classic poser fashion who's described himself as a World War II buff. According to his version of events, he discovered the tattoo's meaning only after announcing the Senate campaign. He was shocked, he says. Shocked. Oh, really? And was learning just then, not that long ago, what dastardly political operatives were saying about his Totenkopf. He even went on with the Obama pro-podcasters to get ahead of the disclosure and first floated the line that he had been completely unaware the symbol was a Nazi symbol of origin. That appears to have been untrue, though. Platner's former campaign manager, Genevieve McDonald, said that Platner knew all along that his Totenkopf tattoo was a Nazi insignia. And a friend in Hancock County released a video defending Platner and inadvertently revealed that Platner had known for years about the tattoo's associations, and an anonymous source in Washington told Jewish Insider that Platner once referred to the ink on his chest as my Totenkopf. That's 3 different independent sources, including one who's a friend of Platner's, who all tell a version of events that make Platner out to be a liar. Mr. Robinson concludes, though, I don't think Platner is a secret Nazi. Platner probably got the tattoo and learned within months or years that it was a Totenkopf, but it perhaps carried sentimental value from his time deployed with fellow Marines, so he kept it. After all, the tattoo cannot leap off his chest and commit a hate crime. It hasn't hurt anyone. However, when it became a political liability, he opted to tell a convenient fiction rather than a complicated truth. Now, he's digging deeper into a pit of his own making. Now, the saga suggests Platner is a deeply disordered individual whose disordered personality contributes to an inability to tell the truth. He's lied repeatedly about the entire fiasco and creating a much larger problem. How can voters trust a man who lies as easily as he breathes? He's making the National Republican Senate Committee's job too easy. The Oysterman's campaign has been dogged by fresh Nazi-themed controversies thanks to some reckless social media activity, but within the last few days, back in the month of February, Mr. Platner sat for a lengthy interview with a man he described as a longtime favorite, a man who happens to be a notorious anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist. Once again, the question arises. Was Platner lying? Being a longtime fan? Did he casually exaggerate to ingratiate himself with an audience, or was he genuinely a fan of an open neo-Nazi? None of those answers is measuring up, folks. For what it's worth, Mr. Robinson suspects Platner was lying, and that seems to be a recurring trait. That same week, Platner's campaign reposted a clip of the State of the Union originally shared by Stu Peters, another infamous neo-Nazi. But the neo-Nazi issues and mishaps keep piling up. For what it's worth, folks. As always, ladies and gentlemen, as previously mentioned, and all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we are firm. Fairness in Reporting Media, I'm Mark Merrill. Contact us. fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter, or X, YouTube, and Substack. Make up your own mind, folks. June is a bit far away for the primaries, but do your research. Pray for our country, our state, our president and his cabinet. Peace to all.